Welcome back to the Wire to Wire podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Smethers. Today we got a lot to get into, so without further ado, I want to start off with saying, sorry about missing last week. I actually didn't miss it. Me and my brother Cody here, we actually recorded an hour and a half long episode. It was like one of the best episodes, and then at the end, when I went to go download it, I realized that my audio, because I got a new audio setup, wasn't working. So hopefully this week it works better. If not, I do have a backup plan. I have a second mic. So I'm like I said, guys, I got a whole bunch of new equipment. I'm really trying it today. We're gonna go with the new camera, the new light setup, same setup that I had last week. Give me your guys' feedback once you actually watch or listen to the podcast. But let's get into it. Sports have been fantastic. Baseball playoffs. We have both been in love with the baseball playoffs. Obviously, you're a little upset today because the Yankees did lose. We watched that game together. Pitcher's duel, which we both said that I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought
it was. Glasnow versus Cole.
I thought it was going to at least be when the bullpens got involved. I thought it was going to open up a little bit, but no, both bullpens did really well. Gary Sanchez just too many fastballs. Called too many fastballs in one at bat. But let's start off with baseball. So now the Astros and Rays are set up in the ALCS, the Braves, Dodgers, and the NLCS. This is my worst nightmare because if the Astros and Dodgers make it to the World Series, I don't know who to cheer for. I don't have a reason to turn on the television for the World Series because I hate the Dodgers. That will never change. It doesn't matter if I make it big or if I don't. I will always hate the Dodgers. I'm a Giants fan through and through. And as a baseball purist or just a baseball fan, period, I cannot cheer for the Astros. Mm-hmm. They are cheaters. You can swing it to me any way you want, Astro fan, but it will never change the way I feel. They are cheaters. They cheated 100%. I think you would agree.
Yeah, no, they're a terrible franchise that's getting rewarded for cheating. But unfortunately, the realist in me is seeing that this is probably what's going to happen because I don't believe in the Braves pitching too much against the Dodgers.
Outside of Fried, I can't.
And the Rays, I get it; they're a solid team, and they did beat the Yankees, and that's impressive. The Yankees didn't have any pitching down the stretch, but the Astros are on fire right now. Their offense is just firing on all cylinders. I don't see a weak point.
I think what you saw, especially in the Yankees series, was the fact that, yes, they got healthier, but the absence of the big bat of Gary Sanchez this year really hurt them. And also, they got healthy, but they didn't get healthy in the right spots, and it wasn't possible. I mean, obviously, you would have loved to have Paxton back, but he was having some issues. Then you lose Severino for the whole year. Domingo loves to... domestic violence case, that was rough. Oh, yeah. So you lose him for the whole year, especially since it was short and it was only supposed to be half a season. But with the 60-game season, they said, you're gone for 60 games and 22 next year. Rightfully so, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
He's a horrible person. And they just didn't have anybody outside Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole dealt today. Garrett Cole literally made one mistake early in the game. And that was it. Glasnow, same thing though. Glasnow comes out dealing, throwing hard. I mean,
they went to the pen early, which was the right move because that pen throws fire.
I mean, the starters threw fire, the pen threw fire. They really. But I'm back to the Yankees. You just saw a team that got healthy. Yes, Judge went yard. Giancarlo had a great playoff run. It was nice to see him healthy again, but their rotation just didn't have it in them.
They didn't have enough pitching, and their bullpen isn't as solid as past years.
No, they have three bullpen arms. They have Chad Green, they've got Zach Britton, and they've got Chapman. Outside of that, it's a crapshoot, man.
It is.
You would actually love to see J.A. Happ go to the bullpen.
I would, just because he had a good year this year.
I mean, his one start in the playoffs or in the division round was rough.
It was.
Outside that, he had a good
regular season.
Yeah.
So, the Yankees will be back next year, obviously. But, they got to address their pitching issues. But, good on the Rays. They're a solid team overall. I just don't think they have it against the Astros because that that offensive lineup it's too stacked right now. Everything's firing on all cylinders.
The Astros are coming into this matchup. They absolutely looked great. They swept their opening series, and then they come in and they face
Oakland, who won their division.
Who won the division, who was hurt. No Matt Chapman. The rotation was hurt, and they did their job. And I think here, too, with the neutral site game, you saw a team. The Astros love hitting in Dodger Stadium, and the A's absolutely can't stand it. Mm-hmm. And George Springer, who absolutely rakes at Dodger Stadium, continue to rake and continue to power this team into the ALCS. And, going in here, I would love to see the Rays win. I really do. That's the baseball purist in me. But I see you have some points. The only thing I would say, I have to say, without Verlander, you have no really starting rotation.
I don't think they have Ozuna either, do they? Mm-mm. So, their pitching is hampered. So the Rays, their bats need to pick up. They're going to need to score some runs in order to win these games.
They did that in this series against everybody but Garrett Cole.
Yeah, exactly.
But Garrett Cole, they blew the game in Game 4. The Yankees' bats came alive. But they're going to need to pitch really well against the Astros. That's still a tough lineup to pitch to. Buzzers or not, that's a tough lineup to pitch to. Springer's on fire. Altuve's finding his groove. So that's a tough series. And then you go to the NLCS. You got the Dodgers, who are coming off an absolute sweep of the San Diego Padres.
Oh, embarrassed them.
There was one close game. Other than that, they really controlled the series. And the Braves kind of caught a break here. Miami, who beat the Cubs in, just shut them out, just had the better pitching. They have great pitching, but they are way too young. And
they're not ready yet.
They're just not ready.
Team.
They got, everyone that wanted Derek Jeter's head a year ago, they're 5 years ahead of schedule. Mm-hmm. Derek Jeter has a plan. He's not an inside agent from the Yankees. He's got a plan, and that plan is to build through pitching.
Yeah, and they're set up very nicely in the NL East going forward, because it's going to be them and the Braves kind of fighting for that crown years to come.
And I can see them competing though. The other thing is too is they have so many draft picks. They've got a great minor league system, but their pitching staff is. You see that Derek Jeter is building the pitching staff first, just like the Yankees. They had it when they were dominant. They had a great pitching staff with Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte, and a great bullpen with Mo Vera. And you're seeing that kind of build in Miami. Will it play out? We don't know yet. But
pitching's still the name of the game. Mm-hmm. You still need a starter to go out there and shut down a highly potent offensive lineup. It's still the tried and true test to do it. But the Rays are not the Rays. The Marlins, they got good pitching. It's just they need some offense.
They had
they got great pitching, and like I said, you need a combination of the two, but you need a starter to shut it down.
Outside of Anderson, they didn't have it.
Yeah.
But you got the Braves and Dodgers. Now coming into this series, the Dodgers, you would have to say, have the better pitching. I still don't believe in Kershaw. First start in the playoffs, absolutely fantastic. The second start in the playoffs was average at best. Don't be coming at me saying that was a good start. He looked okay.
He didn't blow the game.
He didn't blow the game. Now, coming into the Braves, though, he's got to face a lineup. That whole rotation has to face a lineup now that smashes lefties with Acuna. Acuna hits both pitchers well, or both sides well. Same thing with Freeman. Ozzie Albies, better hitter against lefties.
He's a better hitter, and I think Kershaw's probably not going to have a good go at it.
No,
I just think the Dodgers are so damn deep in their pitching rotation.
Yeah, Gratterall, rookie, throws gas, great movement. Dustin May, great movement.
100 sinker.
He just throws hard. Then you got Walker Buehler, who I think is the ace now. I think we can all put that to rest. Kershaw's still a good pitcher.
He's a complimentary pitcher.
Yeah, but he's a guy now that you would like to see at your 3 spot. You want to see him in the mid of your rotation. I think they have that with now Walker Buehler, and maybe Gratterall or Dustin May can step in front of Kershaw. Mm-hmm. But having Kershaw deep in your rotation, that's still a good pitcher. Can he stay healthy? But going into the playoffs, I still think he's going to struggle.
I think he's going to struggle. Those Dodgers Mookie Betts is on fire.
Oh,
right
absolutely.
Now. Oh, I don't think the Braves have anything to stop him in the pen or in starting pitching.
No.
So I think, these might be some high-scoring games.
The other thing to see, Seager had a really good series against the Padres. I mean, that whole lineup looked good against the Padres. That Padres, their offense looked great, but their injuries in their rotation, without Clevenger, that hurt. Their top guy, he was hurt. I can't remember his name. Don't shoot me. But they had some real injuries in the pitching staff, and it showed.
Yeah, no, they just weren't equipped. Like, the Dodgers are just like a better overall team all around.
Yeah.
I mean, the Padres might have the NL MVP on their team, but
I still think that's Freddie Freeman.
It could be Freddie Freeman. Like, I mean, you can make an argument for both, but they just had too many bullets.
Yeah.
Like, the Padres had nothing for them.
But this is the series, though. This is, if you're looking at baseball history, this is the series where you see a top team, a young team that has now made the steps to be that elite team. This is where they take that final step to elite status. A Braves team that has now controlled the division for a couple of years. Looks really good doing it. They have a lot of young talent. This is the year, though, that they need to make that step and take that crown.
Well, yeah, because like over the past couple of years, it's been bitter disappointment in the playoffs of the Braves.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they've been handling the East for a while. Like,
and the mark, I mean, the mark against them was always that they were too young. Well, now those young guys are further into their prime. Baseball's getting to be a younger man's game now, and they need to start winning and making World Series. I think, in my opinion, I do think the Dodgers window has passed them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got to the World Series. But like I said, if I have to watch Astros Dodgers one more fucking time,
you're picking with your heart.
I have
and I'm picking with my head. It's like you have to look. I'm looking at what I'm seeing
This
here.
is exactly why I wanted to do this podcast with you, because I'm picking with my heart here. I cannot ever cheer for the Dodgers, and if I have to watch a Dodgers-Astros World Series, I'm sorry. I'm cheering for the Astros.
Oh, I'm gonna have to root for the Dodgers. go Big Blue, because I don't want to see the Astros win a World Series.
I'll buy if this happens, I will buy a Springer jersey. It will be a little kid's jersey, probably a T-shirt because they're pretty cheap. But
I'll buy a Kershaw jersey for your daughter.
Oh, I swear to God. I swear to God. Yeah, there will be some news on that a little later. But let's get into some football now, okay? So we covered some baseball. Now we're going to get into some football. Last week, I know you guys didn't hear it. Screw you guys. I'm 4-1. I went 4-1 last week. I'm right around 80%. My picks are looking great. He went 4-1 too. The only team we missed on was the Cardinals, because Cardinals were supposed to beat the Carolina Panthers, man. And actually, it was weird. I was at work. I work at a casino. I was listening to a guy bet, and something that popped up in my head that I actually didn't know. The Panthers, they are undefeated against the spread. Yeah, didn't know that. Well, they showed out. They proved me wrong once again. I will never bet on the Cardinals again. I will never put Cardinals.
No, I wouldn't
in
say
my bet.
that. I wanted to bet on them this week.
I wanted to bet, that's it. I wanted to bet on them this week because they were playing the Gents. But
rule number one: bet against the Jets.
Due to COVID, they will not let you bet against any game that has COVID problems with it. So you can't bet on the Patriots
Broncos, Titans
this week. I can't
Titans
remember.
Bills.
Titans Bills. You cannot bet on those games because they don't know exactly when they're going to go on. So that's how the sports gambling world is dealing with this issue. Outside of that, though, yeah, I did want to bet on them.
Yeah, no, like I would have bet on the Cardinals one more time because like the Jets are just so bad. Like they're just an easy. Like you bet against them and you just like lock in that pick.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So then going forward, so let's get into my top five. I'm going to give you five again. Cody's going to give you five here. So let's start off. I got Texans over Jags at 5.5. The Texans are definitely they're 0-4. Jacksonville's 1-3. Jacksonville has had a couple bright spots, but I think,
don't let the record lie to you.
Yeah, with Bill O'Brien out, I think that's going to be a shot in the arm for that Texans defense. Romeo Crennel is going to step in as head coach for right now. He has some experience with the Browns, but he's
well respected.
Great defensive coordinator. He's always well-respected defensive coordinator. I think that's going to step up here. I think they're going to be able to get some pass rush on Gardner Minshew. Then you accompany that with the fact that I think they're going to their offense is going to look a lot better just because they're facing the Jacksonville Jaguars. That makes every offense look good.
I'm surprised it's only 5 that they're only giving the Texans 5. Like, I understand they're 0-4, but the Texans have also had the hardest schedule, and it's not even close in the NFL.
Don't count them out of the playoffs yet. 0-4.
The Colts. Well, no, the Titans are actually undefeated, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they're leading the division, so it's going to be hard for them.
It's going to be hard, but don't count them out yet. They had the first 4 games of the Steelers, the Ravens,
the Chiefs,
and then they had
Vikings
last
team,
week
yeah.
Vikings. But Vikings also had a very tough schedule the first 4 games. So those were probably the best 0-3 teams I've ever seen go at it. And yes, the Texans didn't play that well, but Bill O'Brien out, I think that's kind of a shot in our arm. We see it kind of every year where there's an early coach, and maybe for a couple games, that team comes out with a little bit more fire. I think that's what you see here.
Well, yeah, because they're going to play for Romeo Crennel. Like I said, he's well respected. The defense loves him. I think he's going to. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's going to be a head coach going forward, obviously, but I think that's enough to get him a win. Jacksonville's playing with a head coach that is slowly losing this locker room. I don't think he lasts past maybe I'd say 2 more games.
Oh yeah,
and Doug Marrone gets canned because they're honestly they might get blown out in this one. He might get canned.
Doug Marrone and Adam Gase are the next 2 head coaches gone.
Oh yeah.
So Texans, I'm taking at 5.5. I think you would agree that was also one of your picks, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's an easy pick. That was one of the first ones.
So each one we have 1 pick down. The next game I'm going to go with that you actually I don't think you went with. I'm going to go with the Rams over Washington -7. I get it. The Rams looked pretty average against a very terrible Giants team. That was disappointing. But when you go in here, Washington's going to come in with a backup quarterback in Kyle Allen, a different quarterback. The Rams, Aaron Donald's still a one-man wrecking crew. They're still going to get a lot of pressure on Kyle Allen, who hasn't started a game yet this year. I think the Rams need to come out and make a statement. They need to get as many wins as they can before that 49ers offense gets healthier. So I expect the Rams to come out firing here. I don't think anybody in that defensive backfield for Washington can cover Cooper Kupp. I think he's going to dominate. I think Goff's going to look pretty good. And that Henderson kid at running back, very good.
Broke off some good runs. They have a decent 2-headed monster, and they really need to commit themselves to the run. That's where the Rams actually excel, is when they get the run going.
Yes.
Jared Goff starts going play action, dumps it off to Cooper Kupp. Has Robert Woods too.
When they made the Super Bowl, that was the thing, is they had Gurley, and he was able to excel. Goff was able to excel when he was able to drop back and play action pass. When they struggled last year, Gurley was just not the same running back. Henderson's a little bit more explosive. That running game's a lot better than it was last year. I think they're going to look very good against Washington, who is, again, they're down one of their starters on the defensive line, Chase Young. That's going to be a big loss for a while, that groin issue. And not only that, if he were to come back, groins seem like hamstrings seem to really hamper you for the whole year, especially when you're an explosive defensive end like Chase Young.
Yeah, he's very reliant on his explosiveness. I'm not saying he's not polished. He is a good polished defensive end, but when you're young, you want to use that explosiveness, and he's not going to have access to that probably all year.
No, so they still got Sweat. I like Sweat. I think him and Chase Young, that's going to be a very dominant defensive line. I'd like what Rivera, he's got that team playing for him. I think if you're I swear to God, I think if you're the Washington front office, you look at this and you just watch how the players play for Ron Rivera. Don't make any
nothing rash.
No, nothing rash. This guy can go 2-14, and I think you give him 5 years to build this team.
I say you give him access to maybe getting a quarterback that he wants, because Dan Snyder, it's been rumored that he's the one that picked Haskins, and I was a big fan of Haskins too. I
like Haskins. I think he's okay.
I don't think he works here.
I just think he's also not a quarterback, though, that you stick in an offense that where you're going to have multiple offensive coordinators in multiple years.
He's not going to work for. You need to stick him with an offensive mind.
Yes.
That can actually unlock his potential, because I think it's there. But at the time, Jay Gruden didn't want him, so he wasn't putting any effort into him. Ron Rivera, I like Ron Rivera. He's a great head coach. I don't think he's going to unlock his offensive potential.
No.
So you're going to have to stick Haskins with a great offensive coordinator, and I don't think Ron Rivera wants to tie his anchor to a guy that he didn't even pick.
No, that's and that comes with hiring an established head coach. Mm-hmm. Ron Rivera has been to a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to win in this league. He wants to be able to have his own guy. This is not a young head coach that is coming in okay, I kind of have to make my name with a quarterback rookie quarterback. This is a guy that's I've been there. I've made Cam Newton an MVP, or I've had Cam Newton be an MVP on my team. I know what I want. So I can see them moving on from Dwayne Haskins. I don't think this is the end of Dwayne Haskins' career.
No, he'll have another opportunity.
He will. He's got too much talent. That guy's arm talent is unbelievable. I just don't think he fits in that offense.
I think it was just a bad fit from the word go.
But going into that, Kyle Allen was he came in for Cam Newton last year.
4 or 5 stretch.
Had a good 3 or 4 game stretch, and then looked absolutely horrendous.
And then showed he was a backup quarterback.
That's the thing. You don't know what you're going to get out of Kyle Allen in this game, but I think the Rams are going to 7 points. I think they cover here.
No matter what happens with Washington, the Rams are pretty much healthy, so I think they beat them.
So now looking at the games you picked, I see you've got Carolina, who ruined our parlay, both of our parlays last week.
I have the Falcons over them.
You have the Falcons over them.
Yeah, the Falcons. I think I picked them to go over the Cowboys.
That hurt. That hurt.
My God, I guess I didn't consider the fact that maybe they didn't understand the onside kick rules. But here we are, picking them again.
So here's the thing about this game, though. It is basically a pick 'em, right?
It is -1. Yeah.
Falcons -1. That's basically a pick 'em. So you have the Falcons over Carolina. What's swaying you there?
There ain't nothing wrong with that offense. Let me tell you, that offense is scoring. Matt Ryan's
Julio's
going out there.
A game time decision, that hamstring.
Even if he isn't, Calvin Ridley will be there.
Calvin Ridley will be there, and that's the touchdown there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the touchdown.
Hayden Hurst has looked pretty good in that offense.
He's looked decent. He's a good.
Gurley actually looked good last week.
Gurley got a couple. Well, they were garbage time touchdowns, but still, they're good. They're good touchdowns. I think the Falcons just have too many weapons for Carolina. I think Carolina's probably going to score too, but I think their offense is a little slow and plodding.
Oh, let's not beat around the bush here. This is the battle of maybe the two.
It's the gutter of the NFC South.
Not the worst, because the worst defense is the Cowboys.
Yeah,
but
no, exactly. It's funny because we talk about horrible teams like the Jets and Giants. I'll take Carolina and Atlanta every day over them.
Oh yeah, this I can see this game being 35-31 either way in my opinion, but you've got the Falcons. I think it's an okay pick, but Carolina looked pretty good against Arizona.
They had a good solid win against the Cardinals that are probably buying in their own Kool-Aid a little bit.
Oh, I think
especially after that week 1 win over the Niners.
Talk about an ego check the last 2 games.
Oh, welcome to the NFL. Yeah, exactly.
I think Kyler Murray is seeing that these defenses kind of know what he brings to the table, and that's kind of what happened last week.
And he needs an offensive line to back him up too.
Yes. Oh yes.
And that defense is it's actually middle of the road, but it needs to get better.
It does. So. But for my third game, I got Cowboys over the G-Men at 8.5.
Me too.
I don't like the Cowboys. I'm not gonna say I really like Cowboys. I really like the Cowboys.
Like the half of their team you like.
I like their offense, but I wouldn't even say I like the run game.
They forget about Zeke.
Without Tyron Smith now, no backup right tackle as well. Basically, you could say it's a backup center because Fredrickson had that late retirement announcement. So you got the 3 most important linemen, you could say, your left tackle, your right tackle, and your center, all on backups, in my opinion. And they cannot protect him. Myles Garrett had a field day with Dak Prescott last week. Zeke fumbled the ball, which also hurt them. They were down
crucial
early a
turnovers,
lot.
yeah.
But going into this game, the G-Men have no defense and no offense without Saquon Barkley. I don't see how they put up points. You can say what you want to say about them in the Rams game, but what I saw was just their defense played well. It was a good game plan. but their offense was not able to score. And it's not like the outside of Aaron Donald, don't get me wrong, Aaron Donald's a one-man wrecking crew, but the rest of that defense is very average.
I can't remember. Did Joe Judge pick? No, Joe Judge didn't pick Daniel Jones, right? That was part of the
this is Joe Judge's first year. So Daniel Jones
is part of the previous regime. I don't think this is like the same as like a Dwayne Haskins thing, but they'll probably get Daniel Jones maybe another year or two.
But what you're also seeing is a Jason Garrett offense that is extremely conservative without Saquon Barkley. So they're going to put up about 14 points a game.
I guess, it's funny because like the Cowboys don't. I mean, in all fairness, when Jason Garrett's there, at least the Cowboys are winning some games. That they didn't have Atlanta, giving to them.
Yeah, I don't like Daniel Jones. I never have. Yes,
Danny Dimes.
Every quarterback's going to have bright spots. I get that. In my opinion, that's what you see with him. Every game, you'll see some bright spots where you go, this guy could be it. But you also see bright spots from Ryan Fitzpatrick. You see,
the bright spots from Daniel Jones are very different from like the bright spots you see from like a Joe Burrow. Where it's like you watch him play and it's just like, okay, wow, he can carry a team. If he had any sort of talent, any sort of talent there, the Bengals, I say, will probably they'll make it competitive.
But that's what I think Joe Burrow is going to be a great quarterback.
Exactly. You want to see flashes of it.
Yes, he's got more weapons, but with that offensive line, he's making chicken salad out of chicken shit. I mean, that
Tyler
guy,
Boyd is about all he has right now.
Yeah.
And then AJ Green, he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, and Mixon too.
Mixon,
but last game was
Mixon
the first
had a good game.
Last game was probably the first game Mixon really got involved. But let's get back to the Cowboys G-men.
Yeah.
I just think you look at this on paper, the Cowboys have way too much talent on the offensive side of the ball. I think defensively, you don't need to be a good defense to stop
they're not.
them. No, but I still think the G-men probably put up 24 points on them.
They're going to try to make it ugly, but it's just Dak Prescott's trying to get paid so much. How are you going to stop
Dak? Yeah,
Dak's on fire right now.
How are you going to stop Dak?
I'm not saying he's MVP, but I'm saying like what I thought was going to happen this year is happening, which Dak is trying to get paid any way he can. He'll throw for yards.
Yes, he was trying to get paid last year, but before he got hurt last year, his numbers were amazing. And guess
they
what?
didn't translate to wins.
Yeah, and guess what? His numbers look amazing. They don't translate to wins. He tried to bring that team back last week. Then they couldn't tackle Odell 7 yards in the backfield, and Odell scampered all the way. Yeah. I mean, that was a terrible play. But I got the Cowboys at 8.5 just off pure talent here. Mm-hmm. For you, I see you have in your third game Cleveland over Indianapolis in a pick'em.
Yeah, I made a vow after the betting on the Thursday night game where Cleveland just gave it to Cincinnati and they didn't cover. Well, actually, Cleveland still won, but still, they didn't cover. I wasn't going to pick Cleveland again, and I'm lying to myself because I'm picking them against Indy because that offense, they know their identity now, which they didn't know. Like I'd say, like in the beginning of the season, they're still trying to get Baker to kind of throw. They're trying to get Baker to throw to open up the run. Now they're just running to open up Baker Mayfield, not turning the ball over.
Yes,
and Indy does have statistically the best defense in the league, and I get it. They're a solid defensive team. Phillip Rivers is not going to carry you to a win, and I think Cleveland just has too much offensive potency to not win this game.
Best defense in the league, but you got to look at their talent. The opponents they faced. Jacksonville's in there too.
They lost to Jacksonville.
Yeah, they lost to Jacksonville. Jacksonville was able to put up some points. Yes, they beat Houston. But
I mean, who else did they beat? They beat I think they beat the Vikings.
Yeah, they beat the Vikings too.
And which the Vikings are hot and cold.
That was the game. That's the game the Vikings kind of figured out. Hey, we have Dalvin Cook in the second half, and they weren't able to come all the way back. I like Cleveland in that game. I like Cleveland. My fourth game though, I'm gonna go Seahawks over Vikings. At 7. I really like the Seahawks here. I like the way Russell, let Russ cook. I like it.
MVP.
He's the MVP of the league right now. He's making DK Metcalf look like a borderline Pro Bowler. DK would have another touchdown if he didn't want to, throw up the Pete.
If he didn't have a young man moment.
Yeah, a young Odell moment where he taunted too early. Seahawks over Vikings. I just think the better offense is the Seahawks here. The only thing that scares me about this game, the only way that this could go wrong, in my opinion, the Seahawks struggle to stop the run. But also, when you expect the Vikings to run the ball down somebody's throat, they don't use Dalvin Cook.
Well, Kirk Cousins is like he's having a year like last year. I think you saw like the best Kirk Cousins could have been, where it's like he's not turning the ball over. Stephon Diggs was making him look good. Thielen still making him look good too. But he has some bad turnovers this year. I'm talking terrible turnovers that just kill his team. And even with the Seahawks not having a good defense at all, I still think Kirk Cousins probably turns the ball over a couple times and lets the Seahawks win by probably more than 7.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
Also, so for your fourth game though, you've got you had Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much have like
all right.
decently same
So
ones, yeah.
For my last game, I've got the Steelers over Eagles. I think that's also where you went with right? Your last game too.
I think it's on my other card, but yeah, no, like I picked Steelers over Eagles just because Eagles don't have an offense right now. It's all Carson Wentz.
T.J. Watt is gonna have a field day on Carson Wentz. I am worried about Carson.
Off of a bye
here.
too, so they're rested.
Not only that, they're off a bye, pissed off because they got screwed. I mean,
because of the Titans.
Because of the Titans, they lose out on a Week 8 bye, which is perfect. And they go into a Week 4 bye, and now you got to play 12 weeks in a row, go into the playoffs with COVID and everything. That's a tough task. So the Steelers are going to be really pissed off. The Eagles, you can say what they want. They beat the Niners. They beat the Niners with third-string quarterback, very limited wide receiver health, no running game.
No teeth on the defense.
No teeth on the defense. Bosa out, Solomon Thomas out. That's just, I mean, say what you want. That was not the Niners. Steelers here, though. Fully healthy. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to tear up that secondary. Big Ben's going to look real good. They have Connor's
healthy.
Yeah. That's going to look real good. And then that defense is elite. That's going to shut down an Eagles offense where Carson Wentz is throwing to high school receivers. And the running game, I like Sanders, but when you have no threat to pass, your running game can't really.
Well, I mean, like their running game wasn't by any means going to carry this team. They were going to need Carson Wentz to not turn the ball over and be the guy that they're paying him to be.
Oh, yeah.
And Dallas Goedert, I didn't think he was going to be that big of a deal to Carson Wentz, but he's a great red zone threat for Carson Wentz. And with Goddard not there, you're not going to have Deshaun Jackson. Jeffrey's still hurt. So the only one he's throwing to is Zach Ertz. And don't get me wrong, Zach Ertz, great option. But if the Steelers just take him away, TJ Watt's going to eat Carson Wentz for lunch, and he is just going to throw some picks.
No,
I guarantee it. Carson Wentz likes to take everything on his shoulders, and it's not going to pay out for him in this.
Yeah, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick's going to have a fantastic game.
Yeah, him, Joe Hayden probably have a pick. It's going to be bad. I think
that's going to be bad. All right. So those are our football picks. Also, we're going to get into some basketball. Game 5 was tonight. We actually watched it because it was. We watched the second half because the Yankees game was on. So we turned on the second half. What I saw was a Heat team that was desperate. Obviously, the Lakers would love to close it out in 5. That was the pick I had. I had a gentleman sweep. I think you had a gentleman sweep too.
I had a gentleman sweep.
We also covered that last week, and guess what? Didn't get recorded. But we both had a gentleman sweep. Didn't happen. What I saw was just a team in the Heat that were fighting for their lives, wanted a little bit more. And you also saw in the fourth quarter, the Lakers could not hit a 3-point shot. Davis missed 3. Danny Green missed a couple. Caldwell Pope was the only one that was hitting threes consistently. Caruso missed a couple. LeBron was doing everything he possibly could. But when the Lakers missed shots, anybody in the league could beat them.
Well, I mean, like, I guess if the only positive thing you can take away if you're the Lakers is, like, at the end of the game, like, last possession, LeBron drives in, gets the whole defense collapsing in on him, like he normally does, hits Danny Green wide open. I'm talking, like, no one around him.
Front iron.
And just brick.
Yeah.
And so I guess the only positive thing that you could say is, like, well, we had the shot. We got what we wanted. Just didn't happen. Yeah. And, of course, Morris throws a really stupid pass out of bounds for some reason.
That was
once they got the offensive rebound, but, that is what it is. But you saw it with Jimmy Butler. Like, after a couple plays, man, he was just, like, bending over the railing, just, like, tired as hell. He's just doing everything he could to make sure that this team stays alive. And, like, to his credit, he did. And he was manning up LeBron for a while there, too.
I think that what you definitely have to look at here is the Lakers, I'm not going to say have to win this in 6, but in the 6th game, this is the best chance, win probability-wise, you'd have to give to the Lakers. Because if they go to Game 7, everyone's adrenaline's up. Everyone's going to be ready to go. LeBron will also obviously have the advantage because he's been in so many. But Game 6, the Lakers have to close out. LeBron's going to have to take this on the shoulder. Anthony Davis is going to have to be healthy, who turned his ankle.
That's a big question
He turned his ankle twice in this game. He was able to fight through, but he wasn't the same.
You can saw him
also, what you saw, though, the Lakers can get an offensive rebound whenever they freaking feel like it, and they needed it a lot. They were definitely in that game with missing all the shots. So if they come out firing in Game 6 and start hitting some stuff, that could be a problem.
Yeah, we got to see what happens with Anthony Davis. I say that's probably the biggest X factor here. He says he's fine, but of course he's probably just gritting through it because it's the finals. What are you going to do? Like, unless he can't walk on it, he's going to be out there and playing. So we got to see what, but the entire Heat team is hobbled too. Jimmy's playing on a bad ankle.
Yeah.
You wouldn't notice it, but...
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I still think Lakers win it in 6. I still pick them to win it in 7 if we're going to go 7. It's been fun to watch. I have enjoyed the basketball bubble. I think it's been fun to watch. The way they've made it look has been really cool. Some of the camera angles have been really cool. I've said it multiple times, but it was fun to watch that. It came down to the wire. Lakers had multiple chances to put it away, just couldn't do it. But played some championship defense. Just they need to hit shots. That's what you need to see. All right, so we're gonna get into some UFC news. Obviously, UFC has been putting on some great cards, but the names just haven't really been, on them yet. Mm-hmm. They're building up towards a great run with a couple great, really big cards. Obviously, we covered Israel versus Paulo Costa last week.
Dear God.
We weren't surprised at all. Israel Adesanya is the best middleweight of all time. Might be the best middleweight of all time.
He's making a case.
Yeah, he's extremely well-rounded.
He's beaten
he's beaten everybody in that middleweight division.
He's beaten all the pillars.
Yeah,
everyone who could take the title from him.
The only one I could see that could possibly take him is Robert Whittaker if he's on his A game. He was not.
If he's healthy.
If he's healthy and on his A game, he could probably take it to him. But we're gonna break into some UFC news that was broken this week. First off, we're going to start with McGregor Poirier 2 at 155 pounds, which is a different fight, in my opinion, from McGregor Poirier 1, which is at 145. That's a big cut for both fighters, but McGregor obviously better at that cut because he's done it. He's done it. He's one of the greatest featherweights of all time, in my opinion. I think he is. You can't put him over Max Holloway just because Max's resume at 145, but I still think McGregor is probably the better 145er in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But at 155 pounds, Poirier is a savage. Poirier is the interim lightweight champion. But if you want to put that in there, he didn't look good against Khabib, and McGregor took round 2. So McGregor's the only guy to ever take a round off of a
layoff
Khabib,
too.
Off of a 2-year layoff. I think if McGregor was in shape, with no ring rust, I think he gives Khabib a real fucking run for his money because his wrestling looked really good until he got tired. But let's break down McGregor Poirier 2. In the first fight, if you remember, it was a pretty one-sided fight.
Oh, it was
where McGregor put on a highlight knockout, hit him right behind the ear, dropped him, and finished him. Here, I think Poirier's recovery is going to be better without the big cut. He usually walks around 175 pounds, so it's still a 20-pound cut, but he does it so well. He looks like a savage at 155. He just got paid. And what you see in the UFC, when a fighter actually gets paid finally, they fight better. It's not like other sports when they get paid, but it's just, I guess it's that extra pressure off when they're actually getting paid. They fight better. But McGregor Poirier 2, I still take McGregor. I mean, his last fight was a Cowboy. I mean,
that was an embarrassment. What he did to Donald Cerrone is he knocked him out. Essentially knocked him out with his shoulder.
I think what you saw there was kind of like a Anderson Silva versus Forrest. I mean, a really gritty fighter got broken in that fight. I don't think he gave up. He had his orbital
he didn't
bone
give
smashed.
up.
His nose was, just pushed into his face. He didn't give up. Cowboy would never give up, but McGregor took his soul. Here, McGregor Poirier. McGregor off a layoff, if he comes out and puts it on Poirier again, one, McGregor's in line for a title shot. Or
you have to
Tony
say
Ferguson. You have to put it. You have to say it. 2, McGregor takes Poirier's soul. These guys absolutely hate each other. They cannot stand. Their trash talk up to that first fight was fantastic on both ends.
Yeah.
Poirier was talking some good shit. McGregor was talking good. I like McGregor in this fight.
I like McGregor too. Like Poirier is going to have to try to make this ugly. because you can't just let McGregor just get into his zone and just start embarrassing him like he did in the first one, where he's just sitting there talking crap, putting his hands down, saying like, "Come at me."
Yeah.
You know, Poirier was obviously he was a little shell shocked, and he wasn't engaging him too much. So this one, yeah, you kind of have to give it to McGregor, even though this is a pretty big layoff here for McGregor.
I think the thing for McGregor here, though, is for the first time in a long time, probably since Khabib, this is the first fight. I wouldn't even say since Khabib, before that he's got something to prove. Probably since Aldo. Since then, we've all just kind of... McGregor's one of the best fighters of all time. He's on my Rushmore, to be honest with you. But he's got something to prove here because Dana's not giving him the fights. He had that retirement, which we all knew wasn't a retirement. It was just the fact that he couldn't fight. Nobody wanted to fight him.
Yeah.
Now Poirier wants to fight him. They've agreed to it. It's going to be late this year. I'm so excited for that. Gives McGregor time to get back in shape. Poirier also coming off a lot of injuries, gets him time to be in shape too. So I like McGregor. I think it's going to be a better fight, but I still think McGregor finishes him.
I think McGregor finishes him, and then like you said, gets him in line for a title shot here.
Yeah, because that left hand that's still the best.
It's still
left
lethal.
Hand. It's still the best left hand in MMA. Going forward, I've said I'm going to break down this fight for a long time. I can't wait anymore. I'm going to break it down even further by myself, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Khabib Gaethje. I've said previously in other podcasts, I've said I like Gaethje just because of what's happening in Khabib's surrounding. He's not traveling to AKA. He doesn't have the coaching to help him out. His dad's gone. I hope everything's going well with that. That's really sad. But his dad was his head coach his whole career. His dad was the one that set out the game plan that, hey, we're going to go 30-0 and ride off into the sunset. What happened. Now Khabib's doesn't have his dad, doesn't have his mentor, doesn't have his coaching surrounding him, isn't traveling. It is going to be on Fight Island, so it's right in his backyard basically. Gaethje though, Gaethje's a fucking warrior, man. That guy,
what he did, to Ferguson, man.
I'm sorry, that is the greatest ass whooping I've ever seen anybody have. That is the most one-sided title fight in history.
That was 5 rounds of a can of whoop ass, and to Ferguson's credit, he didn't he took it for a while, but that just shows how great
before
Gaethje
that
is.
fight, you got to remember what we were saying about Ferguson. We were saying there was nobody in that division, including Khabib, that could take it to Ferguson because of his chin, because of his cardio, because of his movement, because of his heart, because he's batshit crazy. Gaethje went out and said, "Hold my beer. I'm going to take 20% off all my shots, and I'm just going to whoop his ass."
Exactly. It got to the point where it's like we almost wanted the fight to stop.
I wanted the fight stopped in round 3.
Exactly. Like he just was blocking with his face. So
he was blocking with his face. He, to Ferguson's credit, he's not human, and he was able to take those shots.
That's an iron shin.
Here's the thing. You can say what you want about Gaethje. Yes, he's had some losses in the UFC. It was kind of just him getting his feet wet, in my opinion, and the better talent in the UFC coming from the World Series of Fighting, now the Professional Fighting League. But Gaethje is built to beat Khabib. He has the heart. He has the cardio. He's a great wrestler, fantastic collegiate wrestler, guy that can fight off his back. His wrestling's bar none. We haven't seen it. No one's ever shot on the guy, so we really don't know.
We haven't seen it yet.
But the thing is collegiately in his college career, never had a great offense. He was able to score points off of. If you watch his college highlights, he's able to score points off his defense, off of stuffing a takedown and his mat work. That's a problem here. You accompany that with great power in both hands and a guy that does not... He throws leg kicks that just break you down. Yeah. From inside the pocket, which nobody in history of the UFC has been able to throw a successful in-pocket leg kick. He will tear... This is going to be a war.
I think it is, and I don't think Gaethje has as much effect on the fight as everything going around Khabib right now, especially with his dad passing. I think that's a big deal. I still pick Khabib in this.
Yes.
Because all of that collegiate wrestler, all that stuff is great. Khabib isn't really a traditional wrestler.
No, he drags you to the ground.
Like I
initial-
can totally see him pinning him against the cage and burying him to death.
Don't get me wrong. You're gonna throw out that one fight where he had 20 something takedowns and his shot.
Yeah.
His shot looks great against a non-collegiate wrestler. This is different because this is a guy in Gaethje that he's gonna touch him up and he's gonna test that chin. He's gonna fight. He doesn't. The other thing about Gaethje is he doesn't throw crazy wild shots where he's overextending himself. Mm-hmm. Trevor Whitman has him fine-tuned to a perfectly running sports car right now. Gaethje, if anyone's going to beat, with everything going on around Khabib, if anyone's going to beat him, it's now.
Well, it's going to be now, yeah, because, I mean, like you said, like Khabib's thought about retirement here. So I don't know if his head's like fully in this game here. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, we might have like a Brett Favre performance where he just goes out and just like
manhandles,
destroys the guy because the honor his dad. But man, Gaethje's a tough out. But like, I could totally see this fight. Like, Gaethje's gonna have to stay away from him. He's gonna have to keep this fight standing up. He's gonna have to have a 5-round game plan, which Khabib is used to a 5-round fight. So he's going to have to like keep him at bay. He's going to have to keep touching him, make sure that bear does not grab him.
And if he touches him, he has to make sure not to chase him.
Yeah, for God's sake.
He has to drop Khabib.
Yes.
Because if he does not drop him and he overextends himself, we saw it in the Conor fight. Before that 3rd-round takedown, you know, he had some success against Khabib in the 2nd round where he was touching him up, dotting him up pretty good. He overextends himself in the 3rd round, kind of going for the kill because his cardio's not the best. Gaethje has better cardio. If Gaethje hurts him, he cannot overextend. He's got to hurt him and just stay away, walk him down.
He cannot jump in that trap.
Do not jump in that trap because Khabib on top of anybody is a huge problem.
Yeah, that man, yeah, he skates on people when he's on top.
And like we both said, his takedowns, I've always said his takedowns are not like his shots, his wrestling is not the best. He's the best at clinch wrestling, Greco-Roman, dragging you to the ground. His shot is not the best.
He's very strong.
Oh, yeah.
Like he can just drag people to the ground, like you said. And once he gets on top, you don't see them get back up.
Gaethje's my favorite fighter in the UFC right now. I will pick Khabib to win that fight just because I will never pick against Khabib just to how dominant. He is the most dominant champion we've ever seen.
It's one of those things where like you have to see him get beat to start betting against him.
There's nothing. The only thing you can say about him is his stand-up's not the best. You can say he dropped Conor. Conor slipped. His stand-up, Gaethje will not respect his stand-up. I guarantee it. Mm-hmm. Gaethje's going to walk forward, probably with his hands down to defend the takedown. Move his head a little bit. His head movement looked a lot better against Tony Ferguson. That was the thing that we've never seen from Gaethje was the fact that where's this head movement coming from? If he's got that head movement and he can kind of walk down with his hands down, Khabib's punch speed is not that great. He telegraphs a lot of his shots. If he can keep his hands down and defend the takedown, this could be a huge problem.
He's going to have to turn that, make Khabib come to him with the shots because he's going to have to turn it into stand-up war because we don't need to see this on the ground. But if you're Gaethje,
the other thing is Gaethje's going to have to know I'm going to have to take a few shots to make sure I keep him off me.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to have to take maybe a 1-2 combo, maybe a nice hook just to keep him off me. That guy's got a granite chin. We've seen it, but he can wrestle with the best of them. I mean, if you watch the highlights of him wrestling with Usman, I mean, he was able to. I will say Usman is stronger than Khabib.
Yes, he is.
So that's going to be a great fight. Like I said, we're going to break it down when it gets a lot closer, but I just could not wait anymore. Thanks for listening again this week, guys. I appreciate everything. I'm going to keep working on this equipment, keep figuring it out. Thanks for listening. You guys have a great weekend.